Alleluia, Alleluia. Alleluia, Alleluia, Alleluia. Open our hearts, O Lord, to listen to the words of your Son. Alleluia, Alleluia, Alleluia.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus told his disciples this parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out at dawn to hire laborers for his vineyard. After agreeing with them for the usual daily wage, he sent them into his vineyard. Going out about 9 o'clock, the landowner saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and he said to them, "You too, go into my vineyard, and I will give you what is just." So they went off. And he went again out around noon and 3 o'clock and did likewise. Going out about 5 o'clock, the landowner found others standing around and said to them, "Why do you stand here idle all day?" They answered, "Because no one has hired us." He said to them, "You too go into my vineyard." When it was evening, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, "Summon the laborers and give them their pay, beginning with the last and ending with the first." When those who had started about 5 o'clock came, each received the usual daily wage. So when the first came, they thought that they would receive more, but each of them also got the usual wage. And on receiving it, they grumbled against the landowner, saying, "The last ones worked only 1 hour, and you made them equal to us, who bore the day's burden and the heat." He said to one of them in reply, "My friend, I am not cheating you. Did you not agree with me for the usual daily wage? Take what is yours and go. What if I wish to give this last one the same as you? Or am I not free to do as I wish with my own money? Are you envious because I am generous? Thus, the last will be first, and the first will be last." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Good morning, everybody. The readings that we have heard today all point to God's love for us and also the imaginable ways of God's own generosity towards us. That's why in the first reading, Isaiah asked his listeners and us as well to seek, he says, the Lord while he is still near, and let the wicked man abandon his ways and thoughts and turn to God, who is generous in forgiving. Isaiah reminds us of a God who loves his people, a God who cares for them, and that God who is ready to welcome them back to him. And in the second reading, of course, Paul, in his letter to the Philippians, is trying to express this love from the point of view of love for God and love for the gospel. Paul insists that the love for Christ, that love for the good news and love for neighbor must motivate all our actions. And also this love must be the source of our own strength. And he concludes by saying that avoid anything in your everyday life that is ungodly and try to conduct yourself in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ, he says. And in the gospel that Deacon has just read to us, God's own justice is governed by this generosity and the love that is unconditional and is for all. The gospel, through this parable, gives us that image of a God who is generous, the God who is compassionate and forgiving, and of course, with this generosity going beyond all our human standard, as is expressed in the different groups that are invited right from morning to the evening to his vineyard. So God's action towards the last group of workers in this parable reveals that he is motivated by love and also that generosity towards all that respond to his invitation, no matter what or when and how. To all, he pays the same wage because his love is unconditional. And his reward is not based on when one is called, but rather on his own generosity and this unconditional love which is for you and me. So the parable sort of reminds us of three facts, namely that God is generous and his generosity is extended to everybody, even to sinners and Gentiles alike. And we cannot limit that generosity, God's generosity. And secondly, in one way or the other, we are all late hours workers, or to call it the 11th hour workers. And yet, despite all these, we stand to benefit from this very God's extraordinary goodness, as he has done even to those who turn to the vineyard late at 5 o'clock to come and work in his vineyard and paying them the same amount. And thirdly, it points to the fact that it is not the length of service we have given that matters most as far as this invitation to work is concerned in God's vineyard, but rather the amount of love that we have shown in our work. That is, the spirit we bring to the service is what paramounts to this very joy of serving God as the master and serving this master also in his own vineyard. The ideal, therefore, is to aspire to work with love, knowing that God is equally precious to us, whether coming at 9 o'clock to the vineyard, or at noon, or at 3 p.m., or even responding to this invitation at 5 p.m. God's reward for all is the kingdom that he has promised for all of us. And that is what the reading today reminds us and calls us to. That's God's love for us, and that imaginable ways of God's generosity which is extended to all, and he wants us all to respond to it without excuses. Today, we also officially kickstart this launch of our year of parish evangelization and the steward ministry. And throughout this year, we shall focus on various themes that call us to make discipleship of all in our parish and beyond as well. So through these various activities, we look towards the 13th apostle, as Father puts it, of Jesus, who is equally called and sent like the other 12 apostles and other disciples of Jesus to each other. Our activities will focus on different opportunities, as you will see in this, or have already seen in this very calendar that has been given us. Opportunities for retreat, opportunity for spiritual talks, opportunity for fellowship with each other, and we'll also have the guest speakers coming to talk to us, having the movie nights, watching the college football, and also giving some faith testimonials in the course of the year. As I said already, we have this calendar that you will pick, or some of you have already picked, and check for all these activities. that are marked here. And today we kickstart these with also the prayer cards that will be having the prayer after the close of our petitions, and also breakfast that will be provided from 8 o'clock, after the 8 o'clock Mass, 10 o'clock Mass, and 11:30 Mass, and of course, for those who will come in the evening for the 6 o'clock Mass, the pizza after the Mass. And all are welcome to these activities as a way of kickstarting this year of our parish evangelization and steward ministry. So you are all invited and welcome to this activity. The Lord be with you.